Wine for many is cloaked in mystery and pretense. At its core, it's a very simple beverage, fermented grape juice. What makes wine unique is the myriad of grape types, vineyard location, and winemaking techniques used in making it. All of these influence the style and the taste of the wine. Most restaurants carry wines that match the style of food served as well as consumers' tastes. Most likely, your wine list is organized either by grape variety or varietal, location, or in some cases, even wine style. As a manager or server, your job is to familiarize yourself with the wine list and gain enough knowledge to become comfortable discussing your wines with your customers. Often I meet servers who are intimidated by their own wine list. In some cases, they don't drink wine and feel uncomfortable presenting recommendations to customers. They may feel the customers know more than they do. If you're lucky enough to have a customer who is wine knowledgeable, great. They will more often than not pick their own wine and will relish sharing their knowledge with you. Relax, you don't need to be a master sommelier to sell wine. The wine list is your most powerful tool. No matter what size or style, there are lots of opportunities in there. Get to know what regions your wine list covers: California, French, Australian, New Zealand. Next, you'll want to know the main grape varieties that your customers are looking for: Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, or perhaps a Pinot Noir. There are about 10 main grape varietals that you should be familiar with. Finally, get to know the basic organization of your wine list. Learn the price range of the wines on your list. For large lists, it's not necessary to have detailed knowledge of every wine on your list. My suggestion is that you build your knowledge of your list gradually. Start by setting a goal of perhaps 10 or 15 wines from your list. Pick a range of red and white wines with different origins, grape varieties, and price. One of the best ways to learn about the wines is, of course, to taste them, but there is usually good information about these wines from your wine suppliers and the internet. Check out the list of the best wine sites at the end of the module. Here's a tip. Build your wine knowledge and skill by talking with your coworkers. Share a favorite story about a wine. Customers love the story behind the wine. When it comes to wine style and taste, let's face it, not all your customers rattle off the region, variety, and wine producer of the wine they would like to order. Most do, however, have an idea of what they want to taste. That goes for food and wine. Much of what they like and dislike is predetermined before they even sit down. Your job is to find a wine that they will enjoy. So how do you do that? Ask them a few questions. What type of wine do you enjoy? White, red, full-bodied, light-bodied? Do you have a preferred varietal, a preferred region in mind? You can ask, do you have an idea of a price range, or do you have a specific wine producer that you prefer? For each of these questions, you need a suggestion or two. When making your recommendation, it is always a good idea to give them two different price points. To help organize your wine style questions, visit the Wine Style Workbook in the Tools section at the end of the module. One of the misconceptions about wine enthusiasts is that they talk about wines in complex terms using floral, fruit, and other descriptors. This is rarely, if ever, done outside of professional settings. The reality is people want to know one thing before you take their order or recommendation. Why will I like this wine? By narrowing your recommendation with a few simple wine style questions, you have a very good chance of winning over your guests with a great wine recommendation. One of the most helpful wine trends in restaurants these days is referred to as the progressive style wine list. This format is popular because it groups wines according to wine style. For example, there are 3 styles of white and red wines: full, medium, and light. One for sparkling wine and one for sweet wines. This type of list is a server's dream list because everything is done for you. All you need to do is ask the questions that will lead you to the wine category of your progressive list. Here's a tip. Use my recommendation workbook to categorize your whole wine list. You can keep it as a reference, post it in the back of the house, or go all out and make it your wine list. Offering wines by the glass has done more for wine consumers and for the bottom line of restaurants and servers than any other program. It lets consumers try new wines without buying a whole bottle. It also helps win over new potential wine enthusiasts and promotes responsible drinking. In most instances, Wines by the Glass is a hugely important part of profits and a crucial part of a viable wine program. For a server, it can also be a huge opportunity. A single serving offers a low-risk way of exploring new wines and the opportunity to enjoy a different wine at different parts of the meal. Wine by the glass are usually offered at varying prices and styles that accommodate customers' budget and tastes. And don't forget the opportunity to offer a dessert wine at the end of the meal. This opportunity was made for Wines by the Glass. Here's a tip. Make a great impression with your customers by bringing the stemware to the table for Wines by the Glass. Then, present the bottle as you would normally and pour their wine by the glass selection at the table. Once you know the basics of your wine program, it's time to put those skills to work. Unless you're a seasoned sommelier, it's daunting bringing up wine at the table. Even if you don't enjoy wine yourself, relax and remember that your customers are dining in your restaurant because they want to. They want you to succeed. First order of business, you must gain your customers' trust. Make them feel assured that you are looking out for their best interest. Be personable. Greet them with, "Welcome, good evening, how are you?" Or, "Have you dined with us before?" Once you've broken the ice, it's much easier to segue into what you can do for them. Make some recommendations. May I bring you a glass of wine while you are looking at the menu? Once you have their order, thank them and promptly return with their wine. This first interaction with your customers will set the tone for the whole dining experience. Here's a tip. Most customers love the inside scoop, also known as the personal recommendation. If you can develop confidence in recommending a wine to your customer, you'll be amazed at how powerful your suggestion will be. If it delights your customer, you've just hit a home run. A customer for life. Now let's explore what you can do to make sure that wine is an integral part of the dining experience in your restaurant. You want your restaurant to say, "Wine is served here," and we are a wine-friendly restaurant. Here are some tips to better send that message. Ideally, wine bottles should be accessible to the staff and within eyesight of your customers. Wine displays are effective, especially large format bottle. This says to your customer, "We are a wine-friendly restaurant," and it's part of our experience. Many wine suppliers will provide mock-up bottles in small and large formats if requested. It's also good to have a wine station or a focal point with the tools of the trade readily available. Some restaurants have more than one station convenient to the dining tables. And finally, the most important tool of all, the wine list. Make sure that any customers who wants a wine list receives one as they are greeted at the table. By simply asking your guest, "May I show you our wine list?" someone at the table will almost always be happy to have it. It's not uncommon to give more than one wine list to a party, especially if it's a large party. If you know who the host of the table is, present the list to that person by handing the list to them open to the Wines by the Glass section. Never leave the wine list unpresented on the table. While presenting the wine list, give them some additional information about the list, such as, "Our list is organized by region," or "Our list is organized by varietals." It is also an appropriate time to mention that we have some outstanding wines by the glass, and that you would be happy to help in any way you can. All this is part of great service. Here's a tip. It's a nice touch to keep consumer-friendly wine magazines or a wine book or two available in the waiting areas of the bar. It reminds your customers that you are a wine-focused restaurant. If you have any doubt as to why you should invest your time and effort into a strong wine program, let's consider a tale of two servers, Bob and Marie. Bob has worked at the restaurant for 7 years and is well known by the customers. He regularly sells 25 to 30 glasses of wine a night and about 8 bottles of wine per night. His average wine sales are about $725 per night. His tip total average for wine sales is about $140. Then there is Marie, who's only been there for 8 weeks, but is really into wine and has learned the wine program and is tasting wines whenever she can. She generally sells just a few more wines by the glass, usually 40 to 45 glasses per day, but she really shines by selling more bottles than anyone on the floor, usually 20 to 25 bottles on a good night. Her contribution to the restaurant's wine sales is about $1,800 per day, and she regularly tips out at nearly $360 per night for wine alone. Over the course of the year, Marie makes $87,000 just on wine service. Oh, and by the way, Marie sold more than $500,000 in wine sales for the restaurant too. Here is the last thing I want to leave with you for this session. Get yourself and your restaurant in the mindset that your customers will drink wine with their meal. Greet them with warmth and enthusiasm. Establish rapport, evaluate their needs, and give them excellent service. It will reward you and your restaurant in kind. Cheers.